Hello book lovers of the internet, welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe because for every subscriber I get a new subscriber. So a couple of months ago, for my 10-year anniversary video, I caught you up with what I was currently reading at the time, and I mentioned 3 books, right? Murder at the Bookstore by Sue Minix, A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman, and This is Vegan Propaganda by Ed Winters. So since then I finished reading Murder at the Bookstore by Sue Minix, and I am very soon finished with A Man Called Ove. However, I am still trudging through This is Vegan Propaganda because it's not really interesting, to be honest. Anyway, today I am going to be reviewing this book, the first of the 3 books I mentioned in that video, and I actually rated this book 2 stars, and it has about 325 pages or so. So the reason I gave this book 2 stars out of 5 is that it literally has one of the most anticlimactic endings which I have ever read. So just to give you some context, I finished reading this a few months ago, so there are some things and details which I do not remember about the book, but I do remember not enjoying reading this book and trudging through it as well, much like Ed Winter's book over here. The bottom line, I suppose, is that the main character, the protagonist, Jen, can't solve a mystery, right? Because despite being an annoying character throughout the book, as well as involving herself in a murder case, which she doesn't really have anything to do with, to be quite honest, rather than working on the sequel to the book, which she is so popular for in her town, which is also a detective novel, she is also rather lazy, self-centered, and it was a displeasure getting to know her. But other than all of that, she just can't solve a mystery, you know? She only follows instructions handed to her by the perpetrators, by the killers to begin with, so she doesn't really do any detective work, and this genre isn't really for me, which I also mentioned when I reviewed The Thursday Murder Club, which is a series I dropped after the first book because of all the waffling, you know? With these sorts of books, there is a very fine line which you shouldn't cross when writing, and that is not to waffle, not to bore the reader with too much details, and get to the point right when it is meant to be the most interesting part. The writing, I suppose, is fine. It is extremely basic. However, there are some creative metaphors sprinkled here and there, but they aren't really anything to be proud of either, and the idea is very far from original. I think I've come across this idea several times, as well as the events in the book itself. Basically the biggest spoiler is that Jen gets the answers to all her questions by the murderers, and they just leave all of the information behind for her to find out and act upon, and make the decisions herself, but she doesn't actually do anything of her own volition. She only follows instructions. So in other words, she does jack shit, save for wear a faulty wire, which the police gave her when it was time for the shit to hit the fan. Basically too much waffling, not any work done, and perhaps another spoiler alert, I almost wish she drowned when she was doing so, you know? There is this point where she is about to be murdered, but she saves herself, and at that point I just wanted her to die so the story could fucking finish, because of how very boring it was, you know? And there are too many characters introduced, and they are hardly developed, if developed at all, and such as, for instance, the character of Jen's mother, or that of Alita. And I wanted to learn more about Alita before her demise, you know? That's not a spoiler because it happens right at the beginning, and her death was hardly tackled at all. It's just something that happened, even though it is the central point, I suppose, the most important part of the story, you know, the part everything revolves around. And there are no details about the boat itself, whether there were any clues there, and the same thing with the competition, I suppose, the people who were trying to solve the mystery alongside her. It was a frustrating read overall, and to be compared with Agatha Christie by some of her critics over here, if I recall correctly, on the back of the book. I'd say that is quite an insult to the fantastic author. And inheriting a bookshop is very cool, regardless, and I think that is the main reason why I gave this one 2 stars rather than 1 star or no stars at all. And yeah, she should not have involved herself in the case to begin with, or put herself through so much trouble and danger, you know? She should have been smarter than that, and I would have expected a smart character considering she's a successful writer. Curiosity does kill the cat at the end of the day, but here she was the one who ended up a murderer, I suppose, in a very broad sense, perhaps. But still, that is the way the story finishes, and I do not intend to read the sequels to this book. Anyway, those are my thoughts regarding Murder at the Bookstore by Sue Minix. If you've read this book and enjoyed it, please let me know about it in the comment section. If you haven't yet, let me know whether you intend to after listening to my criticism. And as usual, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Anything you usually do, you know, to support my channel. All of it is greatly appreciated. As usual, I think my next video will be regarding A Man Called Otto by Frederick Bachman. I only have about 80 pages to go, and I finished watching the movie this morning and it made me very emotional as well, so I'll probably have a lot more to say about A Man Called Ove or A Man Called Otto, as opposed to how much I had to say about Murder at the Bookstore. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.